check this one out. 8th month, 1989, FJ62. And this one is an absolute beauty behind me. It's got a loving, caring owner that has, between me and him, he's spent a few dollars on this from when he got it 2 years ago. It's got a great story behind it. I really like the stories behind these old Landcruisers. This one, Mark remembers, he's got fond memories of going camping with his dad and his dad's best mate and their family when he was 9 years old. Mark was trying to get hold of his dad's Sahara, but his dad wouldn't have none of it. This one came up for sale, and trust me, he got it for a song. But he's dumped a load of money in it to get it looking like this. It's an absolute beautiful machine. Now, it's into Mr. Landcruiser we've done a 3-hour report like we do here, Mr. Landcruiser, and it had oil leaks everywhere, right throughout the engine. The sump was leaking. The fuel pump gasket, the O-ring for the distributor, the rocker cover. So we've been right through this thing. It doesn't leak oil anymore. And we've also gone right through the other bits and bobs as well. A bit of electrical and some mechanical stuff, all the brakes, the swivel hubs, all that kind of maintenance-based stuff. Now this thing is ready. And Mark uses this thing. This thing's been all the way around the high country. Came from Victoria, in the foothills of the high country where it spent most of its life. Now it's in between Sydney and the Gold Coast where Mark resides. So an absolute beauty. But just look, we'll start up the front. Everybody knows what this one is. It's the ARB bull bar. We've got the worn winch under there with 2 GME aerials. Now you see this a lot in the Landcruisers. Paul said it. Paul does the same thing. You have one sitting on channel 40 for the truckies, let you know if there's any road trains or anything like that coming, and then you have one on the channel with you and your mates and your family. So it makes for a much better way of doing it, I reckon. We've got the little wind deflector there on the front of the bonnet. The scrub rails, they are ARB as well. Being a late FJ62, we've got the guards that stick out so you can get a little bit of wider wheel on there, wider track. And these are on the website, the wind deflectors on the doors. MrLandcruiser.com, get on there. There's more and more stuff building on there for the 60 series, and more to come. The old Safari snorkel, and round the back we've got a single swing arm, the old Kmar one that bolts through the factory rear bar. Underneath this thing, it's double locked, so it's a bit of a sleeper really. It's a beautiful 60 series, but this thing is definitely built for getting out bush. Let's go inside. So real personal favourite of mine is the grey dash with the later style dash. So it's more slopey, Toyota were coming into the modern world, making it more of a luxurious vehicle back in 1989. We've got plenty going on, all the usual suspects. You've got the UHF, some trailer brakes, you've got your inclinometer and your clock and single DIN stereo there. And then Mark is definitely uses this vehicle. He's got the Garmin Navigator. This is an off-road Navigator. They're really good. I've had a little flick through this one. It gives you all the data you need for getting out bush and recording your tracks and all that kind of stuff. Center console on this one, and we've got some RM Williams seat covers right throughout this thing, so you can't really get a gauge of what the seats look like under here. Now Mark's on about booking it in next time with Mr. Landcruiser. His carpets are a bit seedy. They've obviously had a few some dairy products spilt on there at some point because she kicks up a bit of a stink sometimes.
Keep going.
Anyway, yeah, so we got a drawer set up in the back, so they can get out there and get all his stuff in. You've got fridge, dual battery system in the back, get his fridge plugged in, keep it cool. But other than that, she's all right. The roof lining's in really good condition. Now, one thing to say is that Mark had this painted. He's had a bit of the bodywork done, and they went in and had a look at the gutters to see if there was any rust there or if it had been covered up with bog at any point, but there was pure metal up there, man. So they've didn't need any repairs, but good on him for checking to make sure that it never happens again. The mighty 3F, man, I think they're a very underrated engine. Yes, they use loads of fuel. Yes, they're not that powerful, but they're reliable, they're sturdy, and they were a staple for Toyota in the F variant right up until like 1993, 94. You got to give this old engine a bit of credit. Now, this did have gas on it at one stage. We've put it all back to standard. It had the breathers was all wrong and all that kind of stuff. So we've just put a standard air filter box top on there, and we've unblocked the breather system here and connected it all back up again. We had some exhaust leaks, and you can see that Mark's been taking care of this one because it's got, you can see, new water pump, viscous, all that kind of stuff, new radiator that he's done previously from Mr. Landcruiser. This thing is just a pleasure to drive. It is so smooth. And if you're not worried about chucking your dollars in the fuel tank, they're the best engine in the world. Right, it is time for this FJ62 behind me to hit the road, and hit the road it's going to. It's going to do a stop at the Gold Coast, and then tonight it drives all the way through to Sydney. Now that's about a 10-11 hour drive, so it's got some work ahead of it to do, but after it's been here, Mr. Landcruiser is going to drive so smooth. So Mark is on his way now. It's been a pleasure to show this one off to you all. FJ62, 8th month, 1989.